Welcome, this is your teacher David Garcia, and today we're going to be working with the slope. We will be solving 5 different types of problems. We will do 5 examples, and all of those problems will have the answers in the slope intercept form. So let's jump right into it. Let's begin with our first example. In this first example, we will be asked to write the slope-intercept form of the equation for the line given. And in this case, the information that we have is the slope. And they tell us that the slope is 1/3. And they tell us that the y-intercept is equal to -5. Now, this problem is not even a problem, it's extremely easy because the slope, right, will be our m, and our y-intercept will be our b. So literally in these first type of problems, the only thing you have to do is just like go straight for the answer. You don't have to do anything actually. So this is it. That's what you have to do. This is the answer for the first type of problems. Now, let's see the second type of problems, how it works. In the second type of problems, in the same way, we'll have to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line that goes through a given point, and they also give us the slope. So imagine that in this case we have the slope equals -5/8, and the line will pass through, and this is a point, 4, -1. Okay. Now, we know from previous videos that our slope can be calculated in this way. As long as we have enough information from 2 points. Do this. Now, the point that we are given, this point right here, will have the coordinates for these variables. So in other words, let's call this point just point 1. We already have also the slope, which we will substitute here. And these ones here, we're just going to remove the subindex 2. We're going to do this because we need to have both variables, x and y, in our equation. So in other words, we will have something like this. Y minus y1 divided by x minus x. So let's do the substitution and everything else. So we have the slope that is -5/8. This equals y minus y1, which is -1. And then everything is divided by x minus. So from here, we're going to isolate the x minus 4 onto the other side. If you see the x minus 4 is a whole term. So what we're going to have is -5/8 that multiplies x minus 4. And these will be equal to y plus 1. Now I'm going to apply the distributive property for the slope into the parentheses. So negative 5/8 times x will be negative 5/8 x. And then negative 5/8 times negative 4 will be positive, and we will have 5 divided by 2. This operation can be done in your calculator. So it's just a matter of having the 5/8 multiplied times 4. And this will be equal to y plus 1. Now, this one that is being added on this side will go to the other side subtracting. So we will have negative 5/8 of x, and then 5/2 minus 1 will be 3/2. And this is equal to y. So we just need to have a little organization here. That's it. We have our equation. And this is the answer. So this is the second example. Okay. Now, in our next example, we have to write, let me move all the way over here. This is example number 3. In this example, we'll have to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line that goes through 2 given points. So instead of having now the slope, we will have 2 points. So let's see this one here. Let's imagine that we are given a point that is 5, -2, and another point will be -2, -3. The same way as before, we're going to identify either points as point 1 and point 2. So let's call this one point 1, point 2. Remember that nothing happens. If we switch this, we get to the same answers. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope is y2 minus y1, and everything will be divided by x2 minus x1. We have to do this first because we don't know the slope, so we need to calculate it first. So let's begin by doing the substitutions. Y2 is -3 minus y1, that is -2. And then everything is divided by x2, that is -2, minus x1, that is 5. So -3 plus 2 will be -1. And then -2 minus 5 will be -7. We end up having our slope being 1. Now, just exactly like in the previous problem, we are going to use this formula again. But we will just need now 1 point. Okay? And let's use point 1, right, just to make things easier. Okay. We already have the slope. And remember that we just remove the subindex 2 in here. I will just write it again. You don't have to do this This is just to show you what we're doing. So, see, our slope is 1/7, and then we have y minus y1. Y1 is -2. Then this will be divided by x minus x1, which is 5. The same way as before, x minus 5 is a whole term that is dividing. We're going to send it to the other side, multiplying. So we're going to have 1/7 times x minus 5, and this will be equal to y plus 2. Next, we apply distributive property. So we have 1/7 of x minus 5/7. And this is equal to y plus 2. Finally, we're going to send these two that is adding on this side. We're going to send it subtracting onto the other side. So we will have 1/7 of x, and then minus 5/7 minus 2 is 14, negative 19/7, and this equals to y. Let's do our rearrangement, and we will have our answer. This is what you have to do when you want to get the slope-intercept form equation when 2 points are given. Now let's see our fourth variation. Example number 4. In these examples, we will be given an equation and a point through which the line passes. And we will have to find the slope-intercept form for the line described. So check this out. They tell us the line that we're trying to find is parallel to y equals negative 1/4 of x plus 3. And it passes through this point 4, negative 5. Now, if the line is parallel, this is probably the most important part of the information. That means that the slope from this line, let's call it line 1, will be identical to the slope of the line that we're trying to find, since they are parallel. So that means that we already have the slope. That means that automatically we can jump to this equation. I'm going to write it like this now. So we have y minus y1 will be divided by x minus, and that means that this will be our point 1. And we're going to substitute these values in here. Okay. And our slope will be the slope that we already have. So let's begin by doing the substitutions. We will have negative 1/4 is equal to y minus negative 5 And everything will be divided by x minus 4. We continue the same steps that we have done before. The term x minus 4 is dividing. It will go to the other side multiplying. Negative 1/4 times x minus 4 equals y plus 5. We apply distributive property. So we have negative 1/4 of x plus 1 equals 5. Now we isolate the 5. It's adding. It will go to the other side, subtracting. So we have negative 1/4 of x minus 4 equals y. And we have our answer. So there we go. So if you see, it's very similar to one of the examples we did before. The only difference is how the information is presented, but it is exactly the same. Now, on to the final variation. In this final example number 5, the information that is given to us is similar to the previous example. But now, instead of giving us a parallel equation, they're going to give us an equation that is perpendicular. So we'll have y equals negative 2/7 of x plus 2. And the line that we're looking for goes through 2, 2. Now, we have the slope here, but we want now a slope that is perpendicular to this. Now, if you remember from a previous video, we said that perpendicular lines have this relationship in their slopes. So we always will need to find the opposite of the reciprocal of the original slope. So in this case, our original slope is negative 2/7. So if we want to find the perpendicular slope, first of all, the opposite will be positive. Okay. If this is positive, the other one will be negative. In this case, if this is negative, obviously it will be positive, the new one. And now we just take these numbers, if you remember, to find the reciprocal, and we switch them. We'll have 7/2. Now we have the slope. The slope of our line will be positive 7/2. And it's going through this point right here, 2, 2. So our slope will be y minus y1 divided by x minus 1. Here we have this, and here we have our slope. So let's begin. slope is 7/2, and this is equal to y minus 2, and everything will be divided by x minus 2. Same way as before, x minus 2 is a whole term that it's dividing. It goes onto the other side, multiplying. So we have 7/2 of x minus 2, and this equal to y minus 2. We apply distributive property. 7/2 times x is 7/2 of x minus 7/2 times 2 is 7, and this is equal to y minus 2. Now this 2 is subtracting on this side. It will go to the other side. So we will have 7/2 of x, and then minus 7 plus 2 will be -5. And we have reached our solution. This is the final example for all different combinations of problems that you can find. And there we go. This is what you have to do whenever you're asked for a perpendicular line. And with this, we conclude our video. Thank you very much, and I will see you in our next video.